moving toward life. Legal positivists, pro-lifers, ignore the harm that they're doing. And I'd like to give you one example from 1,000 we could give you. From a debate on National Right to Life's Fetal Pain Act. Last year, they introduced a bill to warn mothers that their unborn child would feel pain if you kill the baby in the womb. That is absolutely the right thing to say, because that affirms the personhood of the child. The child is a person. That child could feel pain. But then they went on. Their act said then the abortionist must be required to offer painkiller to the baby. And so they pointed out a horrendous problem, and then they said, and here's the solution, the baby could be given a painkiller. Well, we broadcast a debate on this on Bob Enyart Live at our website, kgov.com, between Brian Rohrbaugh. By the way, that picture comes from CBS Evening News when Katie Couric invited him to speak about school violence, and he, for 90 seconds, gave the clearest, strongest statement I have ever seen on national news about why abortion is wrong, it is murder, and it leads to a culture of death and violence.
Brian Rohrbaugh lost his son Dan in the Columbine massacre, and we asked him to share his thoughts.
I'm saddened and shaken by the shooting at an Amish school today and last week's school murders. When my son Dan was murdered on the sidewalk at Columbine High School on April 20th, 1999, I hoped that would be the last school shooting. Since that day, I tried to answer the question, why did this happen? This country is in a moral freefall. For over 2 generations, the public school system is taught in a moral vacuum, expelling God from the school and from the government, replacing him with evolution, where the strong kill the weak without moral consequences. And life has no inherent value. We teach there are no absolutes, no right or wrong. And I assure you, the murder of innocent children is always wrong, including by abortion. Abortion has diminished the value of children. Suicide has become an acceptable action and has further emboldened these criminals. And we are seeing an epidemic increase in murder-suicide attacks on our children. Sadly, our schools are not safe. In fact, we now witness that within our schools, our children have become a target of terrorists from within the United States.
And I'm only using Steve Urtel as an example. He's a publisher of LifeNews.com. He's the president of Wyoming Right to Life. Listen to the debate. I'd like to ask Brian Rohrbaugh. Brian?
Yes.
And then I'm going to ask the opposite question to Stephen. Stephen said this bill might convince a woman to not kill her baby because she realizes the baby can feel pain. Is that possible?
Well, I think sure it's possible.
Okay, I'd like to ask Stephen Urtel the opposite of that question, the reciprocal part of it. Stephen, is it possible that some women who would not want to kill their unborn child late in pregnancy, that this bill might encourage them to go ahead and kill the baby because they've been notified that the baby will not feel pain and they'll receive a pain medication for the baby? Is that possible?
I don't think it's possible at all.
Stephen, is it possible that this bill will convince some women late in pregnancy to have an abortion because their baby will be medicated?
This bill will not convince any woman to have an abortion.
Is it possible that it could convince millions of people that late-term abortion is not so inhumane or evil because the babies are given pain medication?
No, it's not possible, Bob.
When you refuse to look at the downside of some very dangerous ideas, you are not being objective, and there's millions of lives of innocent children at stake. And I have yet, after 15 years of doing this, have had someone on the other side, a pro-life leader, be willing to admit, yeah, there is some downside when we pass laws that say, and then you could kill the baby.